So this is the spoilers discussion for Halloween Kills. We saw Halloween Kills a few days ago. It is now Sunday night that we were doing the spoilers discussion. The initial movie review we meant to be way longer. A worker ended up coming in. We were trying to review it, and it was cut way short. So I wish we could have reviewed it more. But nonetheless, this is going to be the spoilers discussion to get into all the insane stuff that happened in this movie. So you want to see your initial thoughts again before we get into the spoilers?
Just to kind of recap my initial thoughts on Halloween Kills. I absolutely loved this movie. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and this movie had me on the edge of my seat, gave me goosebumps, and I was just, going into this movie, I had some high expectations, and the fact that it met that and exceeded it in certain scenes says a lot about the movie, and they 100%, just to get it out of the way right now, they respected the character, respected the lore.
He is. Michael made an appearance today.
Yeah. And he was phenomenal in the movie, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, this movie was really good. I was very nervous about this movie, about certain things they would do, and I thought it definitely delivered. Michael Myers looks awesome in this movie. There's a lot of crazy scenes. There's emotional scenes, but there's a lot of cool scenes in this movie that we got to get into. And why don't we go into basically, I want to start out with the beginning, how they showed the old scenes. They depicted scenes from the original Halloween. That was pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, basically it starts off, which, once again, I was expecting to start off with that firefighter scene where he gets out of the house, out of the fire, how it left off in the 2018 Halloween movie. But it starts out with like a flashback from the events right after when Loomis shoots Michael off the balcony and he falls on the ground and he's gone. Immediately after that, you see Hawkins, Frank Hawkins, him as a young cop, the one who you saw in Halloween 2018. He sees him on the street, which this shot alone, I don't know how they did this, but they made it look like it was shot from like that time.
Yeah,
and it looks so real and like just. It's almost like a bonus scene from the first one extended on.
More.
Because it's literally like the same camera quality. You see him, and it's just an epic shot of him walking just on the street. And then he goes to his original house, and that's where Hawkins and his, partner that he's walking in there with just to investigate the place because he had saw him go over there. You see what happens. And I guess this was a scene from the first one or the second one where Loomis is looking up the stairs saying, did Michael kill again? Did Michael kill again? And basically Michael, and I guess we can kind of just lead into this whole spoilers discussion. He kills a lot of people in this movie, and basically he takes out this cop, gets him in a chokehold. Hawkins shoots the cop, and then it leads to him basically going outside, which is where he was eventually caught by the police. You didn't really see exactly. You kind of saw what happens. They go back to this scene later in the movie. One of the cops hits him and gets him on the ground, and Loomis almost kills him right then and there.
Yeah. And
Hawkins comes in and saves him because he said at the time, he's like, it's a 6-year-old boy in a man's body with animal instincts.
Yeah.
And basically that's where that scene kind of wraps up. But it was just, once again, a really cool extended bonus scene from the first movie at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, I did want to say that initial scene in particular, that it was mentioned in the 2008 version. You don't know what happens after the original, obviously. It carries into movies you think are connected, but you find out aren't. But they mentioned in the 2018 version that he was captured, or they picked him up and somehow got into that insane asylum because he was there for 40 years. And so it's cool to see that connection about what happened and then exactly where it ended before you see him. So now basically everything connects now from that point, which is cool.
So there's no question marks. After that first movie, 1978, right?
Yeah.
He gets knocked shot off the balcony. He basically walks, gets into a house, kills. I don't even say he kills the cop, because really the cop kind of killed the cop himself.
He was
trying to kill him, but
he didn't technically kill.
I mean, he that was one thing too, very surprising. The fastest I've ever seen Michael Myers move. Yeah. He runs out of a dark room or a closet, slams this cop against the wall. And this scene alone, once again, you don't want to see him kill anybody. As far as in real life, but in the movie's sake, you just really saw the brute strength of Michael in that scene. He just slams the guy against the wall. He
gets me way too long. This is where we are right now.
You saw him get punched a couple times, and he shakes off like it's nothing. And this is him also probably in his prime. I don't know what his prime is really, but him 30 years ago. But basically, the crazy thing about this movie is it really all takes place in the same night of the Halloween 2018. So basically, like it carries over.
So then it's basically the firefighter
scene. You see the trailer. You already know. They go inside. He gets out from there. It was kind of cool. He like locked himself in or shut himself in like a gated garage area.
The gun thing,
which I guess might have maybe bought him a little more time than he would have standing outside in the fire itself. So that did show you she did need to get away from the fire somewhat. But he gets outside, epic shot. All the firefighters are facing him off, and he like stands. You saw the trailer. He almost like throws the little stick to himself, and then takes them on one, or like basically kills each one at a time. And it's a cool sequence.
I wanted to address because obviously there were some things about like this movie, and obviously when he's fighting anyone in this movie, I really don't want to see anyone die.
Right.
But it's essentially obviously fake, and so when he's killing firefighters, I'm not like
it's a slasher movie.
Let's kill firefighters.
It's a slasher movie.
It's a movie, and bad guys. I mean, it's a slasher movie, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
But that was a cool scene, obviously from the trailer. Well. It was one of the most hyped up scenes from the trailer because you see him walking out of the house like a boss. But I did want to note just quickly in that scene that you can tell the firefighters. You can tell how everyone in this town knows who he is because you see the look in their eyes. They're turning on like the chainsaw, things they would not have on, like they would not do if a normal person walked out. They knew like this is him. They needed everything they had to try to take him on, which shows so much respect how deadly he is.
And then right after that, I mean, it's kind of crazy because as far as where this movie takes place, it all takes place within this town of what is it called?
Haddonfield.
Because right after that, they take Laurie and Karen and Allison they go to the hospital, and I didn't really realize how badly wounded Laurie was, but she has a major surgery done at the start of this movie. It looked disgusting.
I was actually watching back the 2018. She does get stabbed. I saw the scene where she gets stabbed by Michael before she gets thrown out the window.
Gotcha.
So that was interesting.
It definitely took her out of this movie because she gets surgery done, and really that's one of the that's the negative in the movie because
she's really not in it.
She couldn't do anything. She really could not do a thing, and the trailer is from this perspective. If you were a big Laurie fan and you wanted to see her do stuff, I can see how this could be kind of disappointing because the marketing shows her walking with a knife, all confident, ready to go, and I don't even think was that scene in the movie.
It was not the same. She was walking through a hallway with a knife, but she was not walking confidently. Right. She was not. So I think they shot the movie already. The next.
It could have been the next one.
I swear.
I mean, it's obviously it ends basically leading off on that, which I won't say it now, but you see them basically looking at each other, save for that fight. But they take her there, and then from there on, you're either in the hospital or you're in the neighborhood. That's really the only two settings you're in, because even the park, that's in the neighborhood. But there's been great sequences after that. It's kind of cool because once again, you saw like the entire city basically form. There's the main nucleus of. I did appreciate there were some parts where I was like, okay, what's going on here with this weird character? Who is this? Who is that? But they did do a good job of showing that these were. I don't know if it was the same actors or not from when they were kids, but like important characters, like the little boy and the little girl that were the ones being babysat in the original Halloween movie. They come back. I'm pretty sure the Tommy guy, that was him with the bat. He was the one. He was the boy that Laurie was babysitting, and then the girl, I think she's still alive. From what one person survived. I think it was the girl is still alive. She was the one that. Remember the one in the car sequence? She actually ran off and hid in the woods. Remember that girl?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that girl was the one that was the girl that was being babysat with the boy in the first one. But that was really the first sequence that you see. Once they kind of all meet up and they're all like, okay, let's go kill Michael Myers right now. That's the first car that drives off. That one couple that you saw in the first one. It's really cool just how connected this universe really is. Because now when I go back and watch the 2018 movie, I'll be like, okay, wow, those two people were the ones in the nurse and the doctor's costumes come back and are a major thing in this next movie, even though they get taken out immediately. But they go to a park, and I forget if they saw him. No, that's right.
It's like kids.
They saw kids in the park, and that's when the girl goes out, and then that's when he basically kills three people right there in a brutal way. The girl tries to shoot him, like an old lady from a character. I forget which character it was, but it was a callback character. Way overconfident, makes a comment that doesn't shoot. Michael stabs her. Then he stabs the guy in the eye in a brutal scene. I had to look away for a second. And then a scene of his wife comes over. He kicks the door. The gun shoots her in the face, and then he chases after the other girl. Who I was worried for a second. She nailed him with a sack of like rocks. I'm like, okay, let's not have this happen right now. But
and that's the thing. I was kind of skeptical about the damage that Michael could take in this movie, but as you see, I mean, just so much damage
Like a lot.
that you think about it as a human, like, oh, that could do some damage, but when you find out at the end of this movie, does jack crap. I mean, nothing is. I mean, all this damage is
Yeah.
just meaningless.
And-
But if we think about what's the next biggest scene you think at that point?
Well, I'll say right before that, the
One
kids,
character.
you saw kind of a big point. I mean, he did kill a kid in the first in 2018 movie. He did kill one more kid in this movie because you saw that there was a group of 3 kids that you see a couple times. The kid in the skull mask, he's holding his head, or at least his mask. 'Cause I guess that implies he killed the kid.
Did
You don't
he
really
just
know.
drop when he
100%.
ran away?
I remember that the 2 kids or the girl and a boy are swinging on a swing set, and they're like, I think they had said like one of them went running that way to go find the weird guy that's been like trying to play hide and seek with us, and then that's probably why when he killed the kid.
I thought the kids just ran away when he was near the car, but I don't know.
2 kids did. There was 3 total though, because Michael was holding his mask.
I just saw the mask. I didn't know they dropped it. Why don't we just?
Yeah, remember he was holding the mask in his left
Yeah, I know
hand.
he has the mask. I didn't see a head, but
How do you think he got the mask?
he might have just dropped it when they ran away. He said they started running away from the swing, and they probably dropped all their crap. I don't remember that, but
Because at that point they were literally swinging. Like, wait, is that his costume? And
yeah,
they're
he
like,
was
yeah.
over by the car, right?
Yeah.
And then they ran that
And
way.
then 2
then
kids
they were-
ran that way, but the other one was already dead.
Okay, well, so I think why don't we got to kind of brush over some points here because obviously we can talk about this movie for hours. I
We've
think
already covered every.
a big
most scenes.
point. A big point. Why not? We've been in really strict detail.
There's only 2 or 3. There's only 2 settings or 2 scenes we haven't talked about. The Little John, Big John, hilarious scene, and
There's
then
a lot of stuff.
and then obviously the ending sequence.
And there's a big point with this other guy that breaks out of the insane asylum. You see him in the first one. He's kind of in that courtyard, and that's a big thing about this movie is that people in the hospital start accusing, like they start going crazy, wanting to kill Michael because all this craziness is going on. All these bodies are appearing, and this one person in particular, he's obviously crazy, walking around the hospital. Everyone thinks he's Michael, so they start chasing him. And it really sums up how Michael's kind of taking over this town mentally, driving everyone insane. This is kind of a big point that I thought, I guess, kind of like taps into like the mob and basically like mob mentality of like them just wanting to accusing one person and then trying to take him out here, like chasing him through the halls. I don't really know exactly what they were going for there, but it definitely shows that how much of a like issue Michael is for this whole town, causing everyone to be paranoid, not knowing who he is because he never has his mask off, and he ends up jumping out a window, and that's kind of it kind of makes the town stop for a second, but they're still pretty determined to find out who Michael is.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And
It doesn't really change anything after that because they act like they
It really
realize
does.
they were doing, but then they all team up and they still corner Michael at the end and have a big fight sequence. But another scene we didn't really talk about that actually happened before the scene I just talked about was when he originally broke out of the house with a fire and he killed the firefighters. He goes into an elderly couple's house and has an awesome scene where he breaks, like you saw from the trailer, he breaks the bathroom light when the guy turns it on, kills him. And it was kind of funny how he got like he threw the little flying plane, like whatever it's called. He threw that out from the bathroom area, and then he murders him, and then murders the girl, which you saw in the trailer. You saw he stabbed her with a long light thing. But then the craziest scene that I was not expecting to see, and this is something that was kind of I was reading the comments off videos I saw on YouTube. It's something that you never really get to see of Michael. He always this is not weird to his character. This is staying loyal to his character. He always sets up things in a very particular way after he kills things, which is kind of a cool way to get into his head. Because you see this in a few ways, but you saw him basically move the guy to the table and he stabbed him in the back probably 4 or 5 times with knives. Just once again, it's like him decorating his work. And if you watch that scene back, watch Michael's like body language. He's like literally. It's crazy because I know it's kind of like a comedic aspect in some movies. The last one, he had the guy in the rafters, he had the girl. Or so he always sets him up in some way. The last one, he had the girl, the babysitter sitting in a chair, with something around her face, and he had the guy against the wall. And then this one, Big John, Little John, he had him set up in literally the same picture that he had on the wall with music playing. So Michael did all that. So he started the record.
Well, that made sense. The one with the elderly couple, I didn't really understand that one. Why he was sticking the knives in their back.
Well, there's no reasonable way, but it just shows once he was
he
doing.
has
that
a
for
reason though for the other one. That's why I'm saying I don't know why he did that. The one with the Little John and Big John, that was clear what that was. They showed it was the picture, which I guess he just saw that one picture and decided to do that. So that made sense there. And obviously, it was his own house. I don't know why. I didn't understand the reason why he was sticking the knives in him.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you're supposed to understand why he's doing it. But it just shows that he always has a way to just like show his art, his kills, and like decorate it somehow. Because the last one, the first movie of all time, from 1978, he has a lot of scenes where he moves people around and he basically plays with his kills afterwards, which is ridiculous. But it just once again shows there's a lot more to his character besides just killing. He kills and then has a very sick, twisted mind when it comes to doing stuff. And you also saw it with the park scene. He had the nurse and the doctor on a merry-go-round thing. He had someone hanging on the swing set. Like, he does all that stuff, and it's very true to his characters. He's always done it since the very first movie.
So what's like the next biggest point? So we hit the
I say Big John
basically
Little
after
John.
the hospital scene, and we covered. Well, I guess we didn't cover that.
Would you say that whole stuff was like that actually worked for me? It was pretty funny. At first, I was like, "This is kind of weird," but it ended up being a great comedic aspect to it. I was laughing a lot. The one guy, when he saw himself in the reflection in the mirror, that made me laugh.
Well, yeah, see, the thing is, a lot of this movie, there was a certain point where I was like, "Where are they going with this movie?" And then you cut to certain scenes where guys singing, eating fruit in a room, and it's like,
but that does lead to something.
I know. Well, so the tone, I know. I'm just telling you what I was thinking in theater. Like this, I was thinking, what is the tone of this movie? Like, what is this? But then it ended up working. Just you go to this movie from going from these different things. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? But then it ends up, it was really funny, and it turns out that is Michael's house, which people were saying was ridiculous. Someone would move in. I think, I mean, after that many years, I don't know. I wouldn't be moving into Michael's house.
Yeah, it's redone.
I mean, yeah, it's redone, and I think it kind of sums up. I don't know. They moved in, and then obviously there are a lot of dumb decisions made by characters in this movie,
which is kind of the point of the movies.
Yeah, it is the point of the movies, but those characters in particular do have some funny scenes, like the mirror scene.
The mirror scene,
they get the knife.
Yeah,
they get like a really small knife when they hear Michael upstairs, and then.
And our theater was definitely loving it. He took his like robe off and was acting like he was going to take care of it, and then just them going back and forth. I would say that the smaller one, I think it was Big John. Like Big John was like that. That's whoever that was. The smaller one. He had the most brutal kill, I would say, in the movie. He squeezed his eyes out, and it looked very realistic and just disgusting to watch in the movie. But he killed both of them, and then that basically leads to the climax of the movie where
Allison. I
just
want to say that funny scene. He says, "You know whose house this is?" to when Michael's outside. He thinks it's the kids. When he say, "You know whose house this is?" to Michael, I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, I guess one more scene that was kind of funny there was just because once again, like, there's very just stupid, and this kind of like, I think it kind of made a comedic joke on just how stupid characters are in this movie. The one little guy turns around and is like, did you lock the back door? And he like paused for a second. He's like, I'll go check.
Yeah.
And then like when he paused there, that definitely worked for me as far as the comedy goes. So I mean, even though not all the comedy lands, I'd say most of the comedy landed this movie for me. There was not many moments where I was like, okay, that was bad. Like the majority of the comedy landed for me, which is saying a lot for these kind of movies. The last one did not do that for me at all.
I remember the last one wasn't as funny for sure. Like there wasn't as much funny scenes in general.
Yeah, it was more serious.
This was I feel like there was more jokes in this that landed.
And just a really quick comment on the little boy character that we did not like in the first one. They did a good job of really.
He's in it for 2 seconds.
Well, he's in it, but the comment that the doctor says, is that little a-hole that lives across the street? Like that, I like that comment.
Well, it's amazing.
And Allison, I think it's the boy you see at the beginning of the movie who I was like, who is this kid? The one who trips and sees Michael. Did he actually see Michael, or was that just his imagination who saw that?
Wait, what scene?
It's the one who it's Allison's boyfriend's dad.
What he was saying
he was the one that in the beginning that was getting picked on. Then when he's walking home, he sees Michael walk behind, which is a cool shot.
Yeah,
but I think that's him. Which I don't really know if that's real or not.
That's a really dumb freaking decision by him there too.
To run by himself.
To go freaking take on Michael in the house by himself.
But that's him as an adult. But as a kid, though, I still don't know if he actually saw him or not. But for that to be his his reasoning, I think he might have. But that means Michael spared him.
Well, only because those cops were by, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. But basically, he goes in. So him, Allison, and her boyfriend, who apparently he came back, and there was this really stupid plot line the last one where he threw her phone to the thing. That just goes away like nothing. They don't even address that. You can understand characters making dumb decisions, but when it comes to this, This character had a line early in the movie that I still remember. He said, he's like, well, we need to stick together. We have to stay together. He's like, right. He said that. Now, they did imply that he was drunk, so that kind of goes along that. But he says, like, I'm going to go inside, you stay here. He goes inside for maybe 5 seconds. You're one shot, and then that's it, he's dead. Because you eventually see him in an attic thing squeezed with blood.
Yeah.
And then, I guess I take that back. Maybe it's up to you. I mean, you can decide what you think. I think this squeezing the eyes out was the most brutal kill. But the boyfriend really goes out in a brutal way. And this is where that happens right now.
It actually wasn't as gory as that, but it was more brutal in my opinion. I don't know the way it was depicted, but basically you have Allison and the boyfriend. I'm going to keep calling the boyfriend.
Well, they're both in the house. It's a bad combo, too, going in there by themselves.
Well, I know. Seriously, it's definitely not a good decision. They at least have a freaking gun at that point. They have 2 guns.
It's a shotgun.
But at least, I know, handguns are just useless.
Didn't you think he was going to shoot? She was going to shoot him in the face when they were going to the closet. I mean, she has her finger on the trigger. Like, if that would have been him that opened that door, she would have shot the wrong person, too.
Well, I know. Seriously.
She shot the pumpkin. Was that left there by Michael, maybe?
I guess. They almost shot each other. But, yeah, the main thing is they stupidly split up, first of all, and go in the different rooms. And then the boyfriend character thinks he's up there or up on the ceiling. It's actually the body. Michael runs out, and then they get in an altercation. He gets stabbed. Then some shots are fired, and then Allison
on the stairs.
gets thrown down the stairs, breaks her leg, or dislocates her knee or something.
Did.
And then the boyfriend character is left upstairs to just get annihilated and gets thrown through the railing, and his neck's getting friggin'
15 times.
His neck and throat, it was bad. And finally, Allison's like, come down here. He's walking down the stairs, and you think he's actually going to come down, and then decides to freaking actually kill him there and snap his neck.
I think he had been dead before then.
I seriously think he was already pretty close. But then he does that just to annoy her. Then he comes down. I can at least lead up to the one part. But then he comes down, is about to stab Allison, who you think in the trailer, it leads towards where you think he's not going to. Yeah. She's like telling him to. He was going to. But then she says, do it. Gets stabbed by Karen by the pitchfork. Yeah. She steps on his head, like barely. And you think for a moment that actually did some damage. But then he stands back up. Immediately they get his mask. And then Karen starts running to this scene.
I mean, I will say, as far as that, I agree with Angry Joe on this one and a lot of people. That Allison character and you would think Karen, they have a bad case of being protected by plot armor. Because if it wasn't for that, she would have been dead many moments before. But because of her role in the movie, like that's why he didn't kill her in that scene. It's kind of frustrating. And I agree. I think that she will not die. In the third one, we'll see what happens. But I don't think she will. But eventually, after that, he didn't really chase. He walks after Karen with the mask, which that's kind of alluded to that. It's kind of his weakness maybe when his mask is off, because the one girl takes his mask off earlier and he doesn't kill her either. So
he didn't look as confident.
Right, he wasn't as confident with the mask off, but it does lead to an awesome scene where he falls after her and she drops his mask in the middle of the street. He looks at it, and then car lights come on. At this point I was like, okay, something's gonna happen, because like you saw Karen talk to that guy before, and I'm like, okay, they're waiting somewhere. This is probably what's gonna happen, and it does. And he gets cornered by maybe 40 people, maybe more, and he's surrounded, and the music is just perfect. He looks around, and there's a couple of lines, like Karen says "gotcha" again, which I was like, I did not like that. I was like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, the one guy says like, it's time for you to have a treat or something.
Now the cop making that line is like, it's Halloween, everyone deserves one trick, which he deserved to say. I was not frustrated by that line, because do you know who he was? He was the dad of the girl who got strangled in the car. The really stupid babysitter who left her door wide open in the first one. Like
there's a lot of people that.
But he at least is a character from the first one who had his daughter was killed by this guy. Like he deserves making an annoying line at that moment. Karen, I'm not a big fan of her in this movie. It's not her actress. It's just the role is very annoying. I think it's intended to be that annoying the way it ends.
Well, yeah, I think it's funny because she says that line again, and every time she says that, it ends up backfiring.
Twice,
That's why
actually.
I think it's funny. Why do they ever do it every time just to get backfired?
Did she say gotcha before she stabbed him with the pitchfork?
No, she just said it at the end. She said it when she shot him in the head. Did nothing.
Either way, I was not happy with those scenes. But then there were so many moments where I was like, okay, they cannot let Karen be the one to kill Michael of all people. Like, at least make it be Laurie, who's just absolutely been a wounded animal this whole time. But he looks around, and then The perfect electric guitar sound effect goes in. He puts his mask
A little more
on,
bass.
and some really, really cool, whatever the instrument was. It was a cool sound.
The same sound, more bass.
He looks around, and this is when I was like, okay, in the moment, I was like, is he really gonna just kill everyone right now? Like, I was hoping for it, but then I started to get the sense like, okay, like this is not it's not going good for Michael. And he gets shot like 5 times. It's pretty brutal. They're hitting him with bats and sticks and stuff, and he gets knocked down. And it's so
he
frustrating.
He causes one shot to one person to shoot another person.
Yeah,
he was battling.
He does. I think he dodged a couple of things. You can tell it wasn't as like clean as I was hoping. He like was swiping randomly, and then he gets knocked down. He's definitely beat up. I mean, his body's injured, but he has the mask on at this point. And Karen comes over. Takes the knife, and I was like, please do not stab him in the face or anything ridiculous. Like, this cannot be, this is not, this could have turned the 10 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10 if this would have gone the wrong way. But she stabs him in, like, the neck, like, above I think below the neck. And then this goes into, like, it's like the ending scene where he's down there, everyone's kind of recovering. You think everyone's recovering. You see Karen, like, hugging Allison. But then it cuts to Laurie talking to Hawkins at the hospital, and she just gets in this big monologue saying, "You can't kill him. Like every time he kills, he just refuels or whatever the line was. I don't know where I'm not going to quote it word for word.
Transcends in something.
Right. You heard the trailer line, and then from that moment, you see him turn around. He slices that old cop's throat, and then just goes on a killing rampage, killing everyone in sight. And like kind of like a montage sequence. You don't really see it from like a wide shot. But he eventually kills the Tommy character with the bat that he had, because the whole time they're making this Tommy character look like he's like some like tough guy. Which, I mean, he obviously had a bat, but he was kind of he kind of annoyed me too a little bit with his role. But Michael kills him with a bat, and then you're like, oh my god, like he's killing everybody. And then all of a sudden it shows Karen looking at his old house. She walks upstairs, stands in the window, and looks out, kind of like how everyone was saying, like as a kid he would just stand there. I think she saw a flashback of Michael as a kid looking out the window. She goes up, looks out the window, and she's kind of staring there. And then Michael steps out from behind her, kills her. I've read it on Wiki. It says that he seemingly kills her. He killed her. Let's not go there. I mean, I'll be very frustrated. This next one starts out, he's still dead there. That was just all of us watching that. But from what we know, he kills Karen, and then it ends with a pretty boss shot, I would say, of Michael looking at the window, but then Laurie kind of, it's implied she's looking right back at him through her window or through where she's at. And they do have kind of a connection between each other. So that, and then it just shows Michael breathing, cuts to the iconic soundtrack, and that was the end of Halloween Kills.
Yeah, there's a lot of different theories I have that I can't go over now. There is a reason why I think when she saw Michael as a kid there in the clown costume,
yeah,
I think there's some correlation. Now, I don't know if this is going to come through or not. She's wearing like an ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah.
And I just, for some reason, I saw some correlation there. I don't know what they planned on doing that. Maybe it's because that's why she went up there. She kind of saw, she was in the shoes of Michael, but
well,
but like ultimately, I don't know if that's really gonna do anything.
She had that shirt on the last one because like that was their
I know,
theme.
But I think they just did that for some reason, maybe connection. But then again, I'm like, the reason why I really think she's dead is for multiple reasons. I mean, one, she got stabbed 5,000 times. But another one is I think it's really good motivation for this last one for Laurie to be healed and then come back.
He killed her daughter.
Yeah, and that's really motivation for this third one to come back. Instead of having them just beat Michael in the first one like Star Wars, having them actually lead up to the third one here, which I think could be a really crazy payoff for them to actually come back, and that's good motivation there. Yeah, but also I think that what was I going to say? Let's turn to this last point.
Just where they're going with this. I mean, I definitely agree with Angry Joe. This is definitely in a situation where they have a good opportunity to make this like a perfect trilogy, because like so far 1 and 2 have been great, absolutely great, both 10 out of 10s for us, but they have a major area to F this up, which I really hope they don't, but I trust this director, and I really am excited to see where they go with this storyline. It's been a great trilogy. I mean, if you don't count the first one, a new trilogy as far as like building off of the original.
I do remember what I was going to say. There's a big point about the end of this movie and how they talk about the brute force. You can't take him out with brute force. And I think that's really leading up to this third one, that you always kind of think in the old ones, well, what if you just had a big group come and get him? Well, now you kind of see that doesn't work. And second of all, this last one that they're gonna need a really different method to take him out. Like they're gonna need to do something very specific, and it really goes into a lot of stuff that'll be answered. That is he really human? What do you have to do to kill him? And it sets up for a lot of stuff to get answered in this last one, and changes a lot about what we knew in the previous ones. But I think we covered just about everything. I think I forgot something as I was talking, but we talked about a lot of stuff. Michael joined us today.
Yeah, we don't have the exact number, but he killed, I'd say, plenty more than the first one, by far. I just kind of think in my head, he killed at least, not sure what it was, but it was way more than 2018 or 1978. And
he is not going to be in here when I'm sleeping tonight. I can tell you that right now.
Why not?
I'm going to wrap it up.
But basically, it was a great movie, though. Really interesting. It really shot well, and I totally disagree with a lot of people that I've heard disrespecting this movie, saying that it wasn't true to his character. It was 100% true to his character. It totally respected the lore, unlike a lot of franchises out there. And as a fan of Michael Myers, we're fans of Michael Myers, and we know what we're talking about. They respected it. They respected this man a lot, and they did a great job. And there was, like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10. So I'm calling out a couple people. Other Joe from Angry Joe trying to act like they disrespect him and did him dirty. Couldn't agree more. I couldn't disagree more. Because they said that he can't drive. He actually drove for half the first movie. So let's just keep that in mind. But once again, the music was just amazing. I didn't think they could. I did not think that they could outdo themselves with the music, because the music was just. We even admitted it watching 2018. We're like, this is even happening, is it, with the music that they chose? But this time they used the same kind of similar soundtrack, but they upped it somehow. But they really did. And the opening title card was kind of cool with a burning pumpkin. That was kind of cool to see. And once again, it's just really, really great to see just the connection in all these movies. And I really loved it. And I'd love to see it again. And I'm really excited to see what they do in the third, final movie of this series, which I don't think will be the final. This just never ends. I mean, this has been going on forever.
Thank you for watching. If you're still watching this point, thank you for staying to the end of this long video. I also want to mention that there were a couple big trailers we can't react to. Is the Batman and Black Adam, which both looked really good. Really excited for those.
Black Adam wasn't really a trailer though.
Well, yeah, it was a teaser.
Teaser, first look.
I mean, yeah, whatever it was, like. Those both look really good. I might do videos talking about them, but at the end of the day, we can't do a reaction because we'll get copyrighted. But once again, thank you for watching the spoilers discussion. We might do some videos based on that, and expect more Halloween videos to come.
Now stay tuned for some Halloween reviews to come out. I think
older movies.
Definitely a couple of reviews of some older movies and also some new releases. I think we're planning on seeing Antlers this week, and we want to see The Lamb, but it's been very hard to find any show times for that around where we live. So at some point we'll watch The Lamb. But for sure, Antlers, and then we'll do a versus video between The Lamb and Antlers when we get the time.
Yeah, if we see Lamb.
But anyways, though, thanks for watching our spoilers discussion of Halloween Kills. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this movie, what score you gave it, and what your prediction is for how Michael's going to go out in the third one, or is he actually going to still be alive? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.